Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. This is a disclaimer. As the show goes along today, and you're about to hear why, all of a sudden it gets a little naughty. All right? So if you got kids and you're like, hey, kids, let's listen to Daily Comedy News. Not today, okay? Adults only today. Do you hear me? I don't normally do this at the top, right? Okay. No kids.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hidely ho, I'm Johnny Mac with your Daily Comedy News. This first one's fun. Tim Walz was introduced as Jim Gaffigan. This at Jim's show on Wednesday night. And then Walz walks out and says, I know what you're thinking. He's much more handsome in person. Gaffigan on Instagram said, really enjoyed meeting him and his team. FYI, I've never seen a politician greeted by his constituents. That's a hard word to say. This was take 4, and I'm still not sure that I got it correct, but I'm moving on. By those guys, the way Governor Walz was tonight. Shane Gillis is your host of Saturday Night Live. There is a new promo. I will play you the promo, but let me describe the promo. So there's some visuals there. Shane is walking backstage at Studio 8H with cast member Ashley Padilla. Along the way, Shane's going to run into Michael Longfellow. He's passed out on the couch. Mikey Day is wearing Sarah Silverman's clothes, and the Please Don't Destroy guys look kind of disheveled. Towards the end, Padilla gets an IV. Let's listen.
How are you feeling? Are you excited to host?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just worried everyone's going to be hungover still from the 50th.
What makes you say that?
That, for one thing. Also, Mikey's wearing Sarah's clothes.
What? I always dress like this.
Look at the boys. I don't even think they know who they are.
I feel like I'm Ben.
No, dude, Ben is the cute one. I am Ben.
Have you considered that maybe we're all Ben?
No, you're Alvin and they're the Chipmunks.
Yeah, nice one, Louis C. minus.
That's funny. I laughed at that. I must be a teenage girl if I thought you were funny.
Oh, you wish.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Shane.
Ashley, you're hungover too?
What?
Hey, do you guys know a good tattoo removal guy?
Oh.
I think I made a mistake. I thought he would like it.
He's not gonna like that. He's gonna fire you.
Emil's tattoo is of Lorne Michaels there at the end. By the way, the joke Louis C. minus is very, very funny. The Oscars are Sunday night. They are being hosted by Conan O'Brien. Tomorrow's episode will be an Oscars Conan O'Brien Palooza. If you don't like Conan, don't listen tomorrow. You're not going to like tomorrow's episode. So we'll do all the Oscar stuff tomorrow. Meanwhile, later in March, Conan is going to receive the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. A Kennedy Center rep says the show is continuing as scheduled. You may have heard Donald Trump took over the Kennedy Center and some shows aren't happening. Not doing politics today, just telling you what's going on. So the Conan thing is still happening. That's good. Kamil Nanjiani returning to stand-up. Very, very interesting. It's his first special in 10 years, and it will be part of Hilarious. No date, no idea when they're recording, no idea what it's called, no idea what it's about. It's the second special of his career, his first in more than a decade. Now, I'm interested in what Kumail will do as a stand-up because his first special, back from 2013, is called Beta Male, and the persona he's doing is a very soft-spoken beta-type character. And here we are a decade later, and he's done a few serious acting jobs, plus he was in the Marvel movie. I can't remember what that was called. I'm going to have to actually Google it. Oh, The Eternals. I can never remember that one. He played Kingo. Remember, he got like super buff. So he's been like super buff leading man type. Is he going to do that? Is he going to do his beta comedy act? It'll be curious to see that. Anyway, I liked his stand-up work. I also like him as an actor, so I look forward to that one. From the Tennessean, Nate Bargatze was talking about hanging out with all the celebrities around SNL 50. He talked about going to the concert. In that kind of situation, you got to imagine all these celebrities, everybody's reading and everything. Where are you sitting? You're allowed to bring a +1 or not a +1. Are you sitting farther back? Are you in the middle? He said it was weird, too, because there were after parties every night. At one point, Nate and Tina Fey were talking about the exclusive after parties. According to Nate, Tina Fey's like, what are these after parties? I mean, I haven't heard about one of them. Nate continued, usually nobody knows what's going on and people will be overlooked and it'll be big people, it'll be little people. It was comforting to hear Tina say that. I'm like, yeah, I didn't hear about any of this. You found out the moment about the after parties and then you're like, I don't want to ask. I don't want to show up. And they're like, you can't come in. I've been to an after party or two. Now, not being a performer, it's always awkward when you're like not in the club. So like you're there and there are famous people there and they don't care about, suit types. And, it was a little easier when I was in my 30s, not my 50s. Boy, I can't even imagine being in that scenario now. At least at one point I was halfway young. But they're just weird. And nothing ever amazing happens. I'll tell you a story real quick. We were out in Las Vegas, and we were out there that was when JFL Las Vegas had the comedy festival. At the same time, it was the AVN Porn Awards. And one of the bosses decided, since my team was already out there, we would also cover the Porn Awards for Sirius. One of my hosts kind of somehow sort of knew one of the porn stars, and we got invited to a party in the porn star's hotel room. This is a true story. Why would I make this up? And we're walking down the hall, and it's me and my bozo friends, and it's not exactly Entourage here. Actually, it is Entourage, just we're all the turtles. So we're walking down the hall, and a big stereotypical bouncer sees us from a million feet away and starts shaking his head. He's like, "You're going the wrong way, guys." And my host, he's like, "Nope, we're here for whatever her name was," and he was right, and they let us in, and there we are in the suite, and the porn star's having a party, and it's just a party. Nothing crazy was happening on. There was no porn. There were no drugs. It was just people hanging out, and we had some drinks. Anyway, later that night, we wind up at the Porn Awards, which they take very seriously. The house band that night was Smash Mouth, which is kind of cool. So we're sitting in the back. They start giving out the awards, and we get the giggles because remember back in the day, porn titles would be spoofs of real movies. I'm trying to think of one here. I will Google. Okay, I'm about to get a little naughty here. If you haven't chased the kids already, chase the kids. Hit stop, all right? I'll babble for another 5 seconds. Did you hit stop? Are the kids gone? Okay. So examples would be, the nominees for Best Picture are Sperms of Endearment, Saving Ryan's Privates, Romancing the Bone, For Your Thighs Only. You get it. So we had the giggles, and we had a wonderful night, and they gave us gifts. So I get back to the room, and I'm like, I wonder what this gift is that they gave us. And it was a glass a glass thing that, a woman might enjoy, a glass thing, say like 8 inches long, that kind of thing. All right, you with me? A little naughty today. I'm sorry. So I have this thing, and I'm in my hotel room, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to put it in my luggage and explain to the TSA why I have this when I bring it home? What my wife knew what I was doing as a work assignment, but like, hey, guess what I brought home? Or do I leave it in the room, leaving the maid to wonder, I left it in the room. Anyway, I quite digress. Where the heck were we when I started talking about this? Oh, after parties. Yes, Nate Bargatze went to one. John C. McGinley, Dr. Cox from Scrubs, he has joined Untitled HBO comedy series starring Steve Carell. And what's interesting is the Untitled HBO comedy series starring Steve Carell was created by Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence, creator of Scrubs and Ted Lasso and all kinds of awesome things. Untitled HBO comedy series starring Steve Carell will be set on a college campus and follow Steve Carell's character, which is a writer who's navigating his complicated relationship with his daughter. John C. McGinley will play Walter Mann, the president of the university. All right, that's good casting. He'll be good at that. No additional details about the series are currently known. Well, there are some details I just didn't tell you, like I didn't tell you Matt Tarsis is writing on it. But point being, we don't know much about it other than the general show and some people working on it. 10 half-hour episodes at some point in the future. Hey, what would you think if I told you Jimmy Fallon was hosting Survivor? Weird, right? Jeff Probst was on The Tonight Show, hosted by Jimmy Fallon. Oh, by the way, in class on Thursday, I was telling a story about Johnny Carson, and I understand that these students are born in, let's see, what are they now? 2005, 7, that kind of range, maybe more 2007 at this point, right? And I just asked them, do they know who Johnny Carson was? And some of them had never heard of Johnny Carson. Are you feeling old yet? I am. And I get it. I wasn't like, you're silly. I'm like, all right, he hasn't been on TV in 30 years. Why would you know who Johnny Carson is? But just, boy, it happens. Anyway, the current host of The Tonight Show, hopefully you've heard of this Jimmy Fallon fellow. His guest was Jeff Probst, who is the host of Survivor. They asked the audience in season 50, which is still a year and a half away, should Jeff Probst be a Survivor contestant instead of the host? Interesting question. Fallon voted no, but the audience voted 173-11 in favor of Jeff Probst being a contestant on Survivor 50. That has been a notion before, what would happen if Jeff played the game, but if Jeff plays the game, somebody else has to host it. Then Jeff said, what if Jimmy Fallon hosted Survivor? Of course, a Jimmy Fallon audience would like the idea. And so I took a second to think about it, and I'm more pro-Fallon than most people in the industry seem to be. I understand what hosting The Tonight Show is and what Jimmy does. Is it cool with a capital C? No. Conan O'Brien is cool with a capital C, even though it's goofy. Jimmy is not cool. No, not at all. But I think it could be if he had a different gig. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, do I think Jimmy Fallon would be good at hosting Survivor? I don't think so, because I think he would just be Jimmy Fallon hosting Survivor. You know what I mean? Like, he would just, the Jimmy Fallon-ness of it would take over the show. What you need in that role, if you didn't have a Jeff Probst, you need somebody like Ryan Seacrest. You need a professional host. I think Mike Chisholm and I from the Letterman Show got into this a couple weeks ago. If you look at, Simon Cowell's American X Factor, where they didn't have Ryan Seacrest, they had some other dude. When you see some other dude being the glue, being the traffic cop, being the person in the middle of the show, keeping the show moving, when it's not Ryan Seacrest, you notice, oh, wow, Ryan Seacrest is good at that. Ryan Seacrest is good at it because he's invisible doing it. I think Ryan Seacrest, I could wake him up at 3 a.m. and go, hey, don't worry about why. I need you to host Survivor right now. And he could do it. So you need somebody like that, a traffic cop who can just hang back and isn't trying to make the show about them. I don't think Jimmy Fallon would be a good Survivor host. And as I mentioned near the top, Shane Gillis is your host on SNL. Somebody who won't be on this week is Chloe Fineman. She has COVID. Apparently the SNL COVID is going around. She posted an Instagram story with the caption, "This is so annoying." And it was an image of 2 COVID positive tests. In another post on Wednesday, since deleted, interestingly enough, she said it was her first time contracting COVID since 2020 and described her symptoms as alternating between feeling like it's just a cold to getting faint doing simple tasks in her apartment, like going to the refrigerator. Chloe, I hope you're feeling better, and that is your comedy news for today. I'm now going to record a little disclaimer to put at the front of the show before the music and the Calaroga Shark logo and all that to warn people, got a little naughty today. You've heard that already. See you tomorrow.